started to believe that ending my life was probably the only option that I had. We've actually successfully got a payout from the government for our abuse and our experience. If we were injured, we were neglected, out to the side, no one cared about us. We had no importance there unless we were performing. It is a big trial and error journey, but you will find your answer and you will get there.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome back to the Intersect podcast, everyone. I don't know where to fucking look because way too many cameras, but we are here with How to Be Well, aka
Lily.
So we are going to dive into a fair bit of her past and some of the things that you told me was wild. To start off with, I would like to ask how you are doing mentally now.
I'm good.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm good today. Had a rough couple of days previously, but I feel like I'm on the incline right now. But generally I'm doing good. Honestly, overall in the best headspace I feel like I've ever been, or since I can remember, which is great. And yeah, feeling good, feeling motivated, ready to go.
Beautiful. Why did you start How to Be Well, and how did it come to what it is now?
So How to Be Well started when I was 18, I believe, which was my first year of uni. So I just left school. I went straight from school to uni. I was studying psych at the time and sports science. I was doing a double degree. And I would say that I had just freshly been diagnosed with my mental illnesses at the time. Before that was a rough journey to kind of get that diagnosis or to open up and take those steps to seek support. My childhood, I was kind of raised in an environment where seeking help was like discouraged, was weak to show emotion. We were pushed to show like a sense of resilience or toughness through kind of being stoic, I guess. And that was kind of then the mindset that I carried on into older life, into my late teens and young adulthood. And that's what I believed was right and was the way to do it. And so when I did start experiencing my symptoms of mental illness, I didn't really know how to approach it. And I believed that it was normal and it was a sign of toughness to keep it in and try to deal with it all on my own. And I didn't know how to approach the situation. I didn't know how to ask for help because I'd never done that before. Like at school, I would never even ask for help if I didn't understand the topic that we were learning. And then I'd go home and try to work it out on my own. And so I really kept it in for a long time, and it got to the point where I just wasn't functioning well with my daily life. I was really irritable at home. My moods were very up and down, and essentially I had just lost all purpose of my life and sense of belonging. And to me, I started to believe that ending my life was probably the only option that I had, and that was the answer that I essentially come to. And then there was sort of a pivotal point where me and mum got in a little tiff, a little argument, and she was like, what's your problem? And I kind of just broke down and was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just sad all the time. I know I don't really have a reason to be sad, but I just am and I don't know what to do. And then she said, right, let's go get some help. And then that was kind of where that journey began of seeking help. And I kind of realized how helpful it was and how much benefit it did have on me to just let it out and to tell somebody else how I was feeling and to seek the help and support and to have someone else by my side. And then so I thought, why was it such a tough thing for me to do? And why was no one else speaking about it? At school, I never really learnt about mental illness or signs, symptoms, management, and I'd never heard of anybody else my age going through these sorts of things. And so I thought, something needs to change here. And I want to hopefully create some sense of change in that. And so I was like, I'm going to share my journey online for everybody to see and to be open and honest and authentic about it and the things that I'm experiencing. And hopefully that normalizes that discussion in someone else's life, encourages someone else to seek help, and helps people realize that they're not alone and that other people are experiencing similar things. And yeah, gives someone or make someone else feel a little bit less alienated in their own journey. And so that's kind of where the idea came from. It took me a long time to actually take that step to create the Instagram page. It was really scary and daunting, but someone else actually pressed the publish button. I remember sitting at home, I was like, no, I can't do it. I had the whole page set up. I had the post ready to go, the whole caption, and then I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then someone was like, just do it. Jesus Christ, just do it. And they pressed it and it was done. I threw the phone across the room and I was like, oh, what have I done? But I've had no regrets since then. It's been an amazing journey, and it's created so many opportunities, and now it's my passion in life and I love doing it. It's been 5 years now, and this year I've decided to fully dedicate time to growing it and hopefully make it my full-time job one day. I know that it will happen. It's going to happen. But yeah, because I just love it so much and I want to do it all the time. But
That's
yeah.
beautiful. Have you found many people talk to you about it, or have reached out through that account to you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the reward that I get from it, because a lot of time, being online, you don't get a lot of validation, and, sometimes you don't get a lot of likes, a lot of views, the validation that you're kind of hoping for. But I just continue because I know if just one person sees it, that's all that I need and that's my job done. But yeah, when I first started, I had girls from school that I'd barely even spoken to reach out to me and say thank you. And as the years have gone on and I've been able to reach a larger community, I've gone out to the Wheat Belt and gone to schools there, and I've had young people message me or comment saying, you've really helped me continue pushing on, or my community that I've just created at the start of this year. I had a young person reach out to me and say, this community, I believe, has saved my life. And it's just little things like that make it all matter, where it's there's so many days of where I feel drained or I feel discouraged or disheartened to continue because I'm like, is this even reaching anybody? Does anybody even care what I'm saying or what I'm posting? And then I'll just get that one message and then it all becomes worth it. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
So your community, so you have an own community that you've set up through your...
Yeah,
page?
I've got an online community now called How to Be Well Community, original name. But I started that at the start of this year. So I was living in Dubai for 2 months and I had a lot of spare time and I was thinking, how can I make this a full-time thing? And how can I provide more resources or more value to people rather than just posting on social media? And so I kind of reached out to people and I said, what's one of your biggest barriers to seeking support? Because a lot more people are talking about mental health at the moment. It's definitely got a lot more prevalent in society, and especially since COVID, it's been a lot more relevant, and the talk and discussion about mental health has definitely increased, which is amazing and such a great thing to see. But now it's more of a thing of, okay, we're all talking about it now and it's a lot more common in discussion and a lot less stigmatized. How do we actually then turn this talk into action, right? So, in schools, in workplaces, you'll get people to come in, talk about mental health, which is great. It's great to increase the discussion and to spark the thoughts in people's minds. But what's the chance or the likelihood that then this one person that was listening to it that is struggling is actually then going to take that next step to seek support? Because there's a lot more barriers as well to support seeking other than, it being stigmatized or feeling shame towards it. There's, cost barriers where mental health support can be so expensive. There's wait lists. If you want public support, which obviously is the lower cost side of things, people can be waiting over 6 months to actually seek that support. And, past 6 months, the issue or the challenge that they were facing 6 months ago could completely have evolved to something different. And there's, a lack of sense of community in the support that they're seeking. And then there's obviously time. If people are working full time, when are they going to really have the time to go and seek psychological support or go to therapy? When I was literally thinking about this the other day, when do people actually go to doctor's appointments or do all that life admin stuff if they're working a 9 to 5 and doctors are open from 9 to 5? When is this happening?
Yep.
Lack of community, finances, and lack of time were the 3 most common barriers that people came up with when I asked them this question. And so I was like, okay, how can I combat all 3 of these in one thing? And so I came up with this online community called How to Be Well Community, which offers multiple memberships. So there's numerous spaces through it where it's community chats. So that's through that connection where people can connect with other people. I do monthly online check-ins where that people can join a Zoom call with me and they can either just offload or chat about whatever they want. They can ask for advice. They can just connect with people. They can really use that 45 minutes for whatever they want to use it for. There is a resource section where they can dive into a little bit of psychoeducation if they feel a little bit lost or they have a lack of understanding about the things that they might be experiencing. There's also a resource catalogue that I call it, which is services available based on specific area and specific challenge. So I've divided up into states, so it's available Australian-wide. So say you're from Victoria, you can go to the Victorian drop down and then you can click AOD challenges, you could click young mums, you could click youth services, and then it can take them directly to services suited for that specific challenge, which I think is really cool because sometimes the mental health system is quite overwhelming and difficult to navigate. And there's also daily messages, which I just post a motivational daily message into the group every day just to give them a little bit of information or uplift to help them continue, or a little reminder. What else is there? There's a book club where they can discuss self-help books that they've read. What else is there? I feel like there's something else I'm missing. But yeah, so I've just created that, which I feel like combats all 3 of those barriers with the time. So one option is completely free for people to sign up to, which they get limited access to the spaces. And then the other one's just $20 a month with a free 2-month trial. And then time, obviously, you can just access it from your phone anytime you need. So if you feel yourself struggling, it's on one click and you can find services or resources available instantly, or you can instantly reach out to the chat and get support immediately. You don't have to wait on a wait list for multiple months, or you don't have to wait for your appointment to come up, or you don't have to try and take time out of your workday, I guess, to seek support there. So yeah, it's really cool. It's slowly growing, but yeah, I love it. It's great.
And you run all this by yourself, or is this kind of like a team effort?
It's just me at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's challenging. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of effort for not much reward at the moment. But like I said, it's growing and I believe it will get there. And, if it just changes, that one young girl's life, then, it's all worth it in the end.
That's nice. And is this something you wish not like you had access to, but like back in when you were struggling? If you knew of something like this would have changed.
It would have been really cool. I didn't really know how to approach challenges, I guess, when I was experiencing them. And I didn't know all of the services that were available as well. There's actually so many mental health support services out there, but you just don't know about them.
Yeah. That's one thing we've found in Geraldton.
Yeah.
As well. Like, it was like, yep, you have a look around, you only know so many, but then once you start like going through and talking to people, you find out, oh, there's actually another one, but nobody knows about anything. And it makes it hard.
There's so much support available. It's just getting the knowledge and the awareness out about what support is there for people, and especially for like different challenges as well. So yeah, I think I would have loved having a space like this and being able to relate to other people just through the chat, especially through the days where I just felt so alone and I didn't know what to do. Like right now, I feel like I've learned so much about myself and I'm really good at understanding myself and being able to manage myself when I do feel a decline coming. But back then I was absolutely useless. Like I didn't know strategies or techniques to use. I was living quite an unhelpful lifestyle. I was forming just a really unhealthy pattern. And I feel like back then, if I had a group or a community to lean on as well, it would have been really cool. Or even just those like monthly check-ins to just talk to somebody about it and not paying, $220 for a psychology appointment. It would have been awesome.
Yeah, right. When you say coping strategies or things you do, what do you do personally then? Like, what are some things you implement if you feel a decline coming?
If I feel a decline, a lot of the time, it's usually because I've been burning myself out. So I've been trying to do too much and I've started to like neglect self-care. So I'll, kind of take a step back and think to myself, right, what is the reason that I'm probably starting to feel this decline? And then approach it from there. So if I am starting to feel it because I've been burning out, I'll just kind of approach my day a little bit more slowly. I'll be a lot more self-compassionate with myself because I will start to feel like I'll be really self-critical and, start thinking those thoughts that I was taught growing up where I'm not good enough, I'm not trying hard enough, I'm not where I should be. And I'm like, no, let's do some reflection and let's see all of the really cool things that you have been doing. And I've got a few really good techniques as well where at the start of the year, this year I made myself a bingo card of all the things that I wanted to achieve this year. And even just going back and looking at that and seeing the things that I've crossed off, I'm like, wow, it's 6 months in and I've, crossed off maybe 70% of this bingo card list. And it's small things that you forget to recognize and celebrate that often mean the most and that you need to celebrate because you're like, actually, that's really cool that I was able to achieve that. And I'll also try to like practice more mindfulness. I know mindfulness is such like an airy-fairy term and it's a term that is drilled into a lot of people where it's like, be mindful, but it's actually a really good technique to use if you just find the technique of mindfulness that works for you. That's the hard thing about mental health management is there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just so individual and it takes a lot of trial and error and a lot of self-learning and discovery to work out what is going to suit you and what's going to be the best technique for you. So one thing that I'm super strict on is that I'll never go out and preach what I do and be like, this is what you need to do. Because I know that what I do might not necessarily be your answers.
I think that's one thing we've found when doing our podcast is when we interview people, you find there's so many different ways everyone deals with things and it's very eye-opening. Yeah,
but I think once you get that message out there that there are so many things as well, it can give a lot of hope to people. Because if I was going out there and I was saying, this is what you need to do, this is what has saved me, and these were my answers, so this is what's going to work for you. And some young person or anyone really goes out and does those things and it doesn't work for them, imagine how they're going to feel. They're going to feel so disheartened. They're going to start thinking, I'm hopeless, nothing's going to work for me, this is going to be my forever. And it's just going to be really harmful for their own recovery journey Whereas if I'm, encouraging people to try the things that I've tried because they've worked for me, and if you haven't tried them, go and give them a go. But also it might not be your answer, and that's okay. There are other things. That's going to give them more hope because they're going to be like, okay, there are so many other things that I can do. And there are so many options. Really, the techniques and things that you can try are endless, and there will be something for you. That's the thing that I just try to ingrain in people's minds, is that, okay, you've tried this, that's not your answer, and that's okay, but let's go and try something else. And even if that's not your answer, that's okay, but we will find something that will be your answer, and I can guarantee there will be something that helps you. And that's like the one thing that I just try to push, because I know there are a lot of creators out there that just frustrate me a lot because they just generalize mental health and mental well-being, and a lot of the time the things that they're saying could be super invalidating to some people. Some people might take it on and be like, that's so motivating, and yes, let's take those steps. Like, you're so right, I'm not trying enough, or I'm not giving enough, or yeah, maybe I am feeling this way because I'm limiting myself. But for some people, hearing that can be super harmful, because it's just invalidating their experiences, and it's invalidating their efforts that they have tried to make themselves better. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for pushing people to just keep trying, and that it is a big trial and error journey, but you will find your answer and you will get there.
It's funny you say that, because that's the whole meaning behind the name of this podcast.
Oh, really?
Is like trying different things, and if it doesn't work for them, then you can come back, try different things.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's why it's called it's like an intersection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, which is like super cool to hear like someone else explain it in a different version than what we explain it in.
Yeah.
But still mean the same thing.
Yeah, I love that analogy. That's really cool.
You did say one thing before where you have like where people can check in if they're struggling and all that type of stuff. Have you ever had it where someone's like checked in and it's almost daunting on your end to like hear it, like almost what they're going through?
I think at this point, no, because last year I worked in youth peer recovery. So I was working with 15 to 28-year-olds, I think was our age bracket, if I remember correctly. And it was with young people that were really, really struggling. And a lot of them had just been discharged from mental health wards. A lot of them didn't really have any other support. They were heavily suicidal, and, they had just been diagnosed with mental illnesses, and a lot of them just didn't know how to navigate that. And so I feel like from that role and that experience of, sometimes being their only support and only spending an hour with them a week really has opened my eyes and gave me a lot of experience in managing hearing those sorts of things. And it is tough, but, I've done a lot of training on like mental health first aid and how to approach those sort of situations if people do disclose that information to you, and kind of the steps to take with that, and setting boundaries, which I think is really important in doing mental health work, is you really have to have strong boundaries. But, it's kind of inevitable. You got to understand that you are working with people that aren't doing so well. At the moment in the community, I haven't had anyone disclose such heavy information. It's been like a lot of just, how do I manage boundaries? How do I, work or manage my social life and work life? Just like small little things that people do have challenges with. But yeah, I do expect it to happen one day. But in a sense as well, it's almost rewarding for me if they do disclose that, because it means that they feel comfortable and they feel safe in my community, which is something that I really put a lot of importance on, because I want it to be a safe space for people to feel comfortable, to feel safe, and a non-judgmental space for people to come to. And the fact that they have shared that is actually really, really great because it means, they're maybe taking that step to sharing that and realizing that it's okay to share these sorts of things and they aren't alone and they can ask for help, which is really awesome thing.
Yeah, that is really, I mean, I feel like anyone that just opens up, even if it's small or big, is just really good in itself. You did say before that you got diagnosed with your mental health. What are those things that you got, if you're okay with talking about them?
Yeah, fine. I'm an open book.
I've heard that so many times. I'm an open book. And then people will come on and you're like, okay, cool, like, let's just talk about this. And like, yeah, don't want to talk about that. And I'm like, okay, thank you.
I'm a genuine open book, I promise.
Wicked.
I know, like, my boundaries and I know things that, like, to disclose, but I know how to, like, disclose things openly. But yeah, so I've been diagnosed with PTSD, major depressive disorder, and then generalized and social anxiety.
Yep.
But I do just say 3 because I guess, I don't know, it feels like a lot saying 4 with general and social anxiety, but yeah, I'm just an anxious girl.
Yeah.
And
just floating through the world.
Yeah, I'm just one little anxious girl with depression and PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the PTSD caused from?
It was from my gymnastics career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can. I was in an elite gymnastics program from the age of 8. So when I was in year 3, I was put into that program. And I stayed in that program for 8 years until I was 16. So that was halfway through year 11 or start of year 12, I believe. So basically my whole school life, I was in that program. And it was a very, very intense program, to put it lightly. I was basically put into that program with a bunch of girls and we all had the same goal or the same, we didn't personally choose this goal, but the goal was kind of put on us that we were there to perform for the 2020 Olympics. And that was our cycle. So every gymnast that was in that program had a cycle based on your age. So the year you turned 16, you're considered a senior athlete. So whatever Olympic year you are eligible for the Olympics is your cycle. So I would have been 19 for the 2020, so I just missed out on the 2016 because I was 15 in 2016. So, but because I didn't make the 2016, then my cycle was the 2020 Olympics. And so, yeah, from the age of 8, you were told 2020 Olympics is your Olympic year. You're here to train and basically perform for that sport. And we were essentially forced to grow up very, very quickly. A lot of responsibility and expectation were put on us. And it's so interesting when I hear what other people were doing at my age when I was 8, 9, 10, and what I was doing is just crazy because at the time you didn't really reflect on it that much. It was just normal and it was my purpose and it was what I was there to do. But like even going back and like listening to what my partner was doing in year 5 and he's like out there like doing like kick flicks on his scooter and stuff and I'm, crying every day going to Canberra to the Australian Institute of Sport and competing for like my state. And that was like, yeah. And, at the time, I didn't think that what I was doing was so extraordinary because even then, I believed that I wasn't good enough because that's what we were being told every day. And so, yeah, we were there 36 hours a week training. I was attending school full time. So I still had all the expectations every other kid did at school on me. Except I was missing 3 periods of school a day. So in high school, so that was 3 periods. So I'd come at recess time. So I'd miss the first 2 and then I would go at start of period 6. So I'd miss the last one. But, it didn't matter. I was still expected to do all the assignments, assessments, tests at every other level that every other child was. And then plus the pressure of gymnastics and performing on top. But essentially I was seeing the support staff and the coaches more than I was seeing my own parents. And so they became the core influences and adult influences in my childhood growing up. So they were the people that I looked up to and the people that were the ones that kind of taught me ways of living. And we were just very heavily manipulated in there. We were, I can confidently say, emotionally abused. We've actually successfully got a payout from the government for our abuse and our experience as victims of crime. And the emotional abuse was just from, constantly being invalidated, being told we weren't good enough, never trying hard enough. We were put to comparison against each other. Our body weight was assessed monthly. Sometimes young people were compared to like pigs as they would come out of, their assessment. We were told we had to stay into this strict range of body weight, and if we weren't, were there things we can take out of our diet? And it just wasn't really appropriate for young developing girls. And there was no education about puberty and how our bodies would change, and our expectations on performance didn't change. So, all of a sudden we're getting a lot heavier in the lower parts of our bodies. We're developing, we're changing. And, there wasn't any adaptation to our training. There wasn't any consideration on extra fatigue that comes with growing and changing bodies, mood changes. And, it was neglect. If we were injured, we were neglected out to the side. No one cared about us. We had no importance there unless we were performing. And essentially all of my validation and my worth became external, where I didn't feel good enough unless I was being approved by the coaches or the support staff. And so because that rarely happened, my self-worth was so low. And then obviously we were being taught those things like seeking help is weak, work things out on your own. We would get told off if we started crying. We would be told to, go stand in this locker room away from everybody and come out when you're ready to perform properly. And in gymnastics as well, it's such a perfectionistic sport. You're expected to be perfect all the time. And perfection's almost impossible thing to achieve. But that's what we were striving for. And so it's bound for us to get frustrated when we keep performing a skill or a routine that, isn't perfect. And so, with frustration, emotions get heavy. You're going to cry. You're going to break down. You're going to need a break. But, we were told that that's weak. Go away. Come back when you're ready to perform properly.
So that's where the whole go to Bunnings and get a fucking thing of concrete and harden up type shit.
Yeah, basically.
Came from. Yeah, because you don't rarely hear like women going through that type of stuff. It's mostly blokes that.
Yeah.
Because they express it, because they get told it when they're younger, and then when they get older they say it to their kids. Mm-hmm. But you don't really often hear a woman saying that I got told that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah, we were really taught to suppress emotion. You'd go home and you'd just cry in your bed, because everything was just built up. And it was just exhausting. But I stayed in that program for so long because it was all I knew. It was my norm and it was my purpose and it was my whole identity. And I didn't know how to get out of that. And it was honestly the point where I was in year 11, year 12, and I was trying to do ATAR as well as train. And I had just, in 12 months, I'd had 2 surgeries on my foot. I was so neglected because I hadn't been at my peak and I wasn't training. I was doing rehab. We were still expected to come to training 36 hours a week, but we'd just be shoved to the corner and expected to just do our own thing, rehab or, strength work for the 36 hours. But they didn't care about us, you know, because you're not giving us what we want. You're not giving us the results. Yeah, you're still expectations are still on you to show up and do what you do, but we don't care about you. And, you know, it was just the point where I was like, I can't take this anymore. It was emotional and physical burnout to the max. And it was literally a lot of the other girls that were in my cycle that I was training with, they were all also leaving the sport, and they were really my rock in the end. We had all become so close, and it's literally a trauma bond. It is the definition of a trauma bond. We'd all become so close, and even to this day, we're also bonded from this experience. And they were like my sisters because we would just spend so much time together. It's really interesting because a lot of people are like, didn't you guys despise each other because you were pushed against each other? But it was literally like, no, we were all experiencing this trauma at the same time, and we were the only people that understood what we were all feeling. And so that created such a unique bond. But, you know, they were all leaving, and then I was thinking, why am I even here? Like, at the end, I was coming to spend time with these girls, and then, you know, they wouldn't be there. And it's like, what am I even doing here? I'm not probably going to make this goal, and it's not for me. I'm so unhappy. I'm so unhealthy. I just can't do it. And, you know, I was honestly more pushed out of it as well, with coaches being like, is this really what's right for you in the end? Because I was like injured all the time. So I was like, I guess not.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just disheartening, and I left.
That's rough. It's so rough.
Yeah.
Did you like, as you were going through it, because you probably wouldn't have known what was going on in your head because you were still growing up, was there ever a part of you where you were like, I just want to fucking leave? I hate this shit. Or was it because you had so much passion for it?
Oh, there was no passion.
So it was just all...
I was like maybe passion like for 2 years, and I was there for 8 years. But I can distinctly remember the point or one moment where I know that I hated it was in year 7. And I was there until I was halfway through year 11 when, you know, I just started high school and I was with all these new people that didn't know who I was, all these new teachers, and I was just this girl that was just never at school. I was this girl that was coming late, leaving school early, and of course people were inquisitive about it. They wanted to know, what is she doing? And so I'd get questions and teachers would ask me, what's going on? Like, how often do you train? Like, what's the idea or the goal behind this? And I'd tell them, I'd explain to them what I'm doing, and they would say to me, wow, you must really love it to do it so much. And I would respond, I'd be like, yeah, you know, because that's just what people wanted to hear. And I'd be like, yeah, I love it. But I actually distinctly remember thinking in my head, like, I hate this. Like, no, I don't love it. And it sucks, and it is the worst time. And my sister can recall me. She still tells me this day, like, Mum used to come into my room. She used to wake me up at 5:45 every morning to get ready for training. And she'd go, and then she'd go and get ready because obviously I couldn't drive. So they had so much commitment to it too. They had to drive, drop me off and pick me up every morning, every night, multiple times a day. But yeah, my mum would come wake me up and she'd go, and then my sister would say, I used to sit in my room and I could listen to you cry every morning when you had to wake up. Like, I'd sit there and I'd be like,
That's
at the
so
thought of
sad,
having to wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was no passion in it, and it was honestly just because it was just my norm. It was what I did, and it was who I was, and this was my purpose in life, so I just continued.
Did your parents ever know what you were going through? Like, did you ever feel comfortable to open up with them?
No, I didn't open up with them at all. And, you know, I don't know what they thought, but I believe that they were as heavily manipulated as we were. So they were told that they could only watch the first and the last 10 minutes of training. And so if they were spotted watching, we had to go up and tell them that they need to leave because it was distracting for us to have our parents watching. That's what they would say. So they weren't seeing what was going on in the gym. They weren't seeing us in tears. They weren't seeing us being yelled at every day, being punished. So they didn't really know, and we were told to suppress everything. So I didn't tell them anything, and we were just told that this was normal. Like, this is how we create elite athletes. This is how it needs to be. And it was just my day-to-day life. It was what it was, and I didn't realize that it was abuse at the time. And we were just shaped into being kind of robots, I guess, to show up and to live in fear of these coaches. Like, I was actually scared of the coaches, and parents were told we had to ask permission to go on family holidays. We had to ask if that was okay with the coaches for us to go on a family holiday, to miss out on training. When we would go to national training camps or nationals, parents weren't allowed to come with us. So we were flying by ourselves when we were 8 years old and having to live independently, essentially waking up on our own, feeding ourselves on our own, making sure our outfits were perfect for training, getting our hair done, getting ready on our own. We were treated like adults at 8 years old, and we were allowed to talk to our parents at specific times of the day. They'd give us our phone for like 10 minutes of the day to call them, to check in just about, hey, I'm okay, and then we'd have to hand our phone back. So our parents were very excluded from the whole situation, really. So I think they were quite oblivious, or as manipulated as we were throughout it all, that they were told this is what needs to happen if you want your child to be successful. And so that's what they did. They were doing what they thought was best for me at the time. And I was actually quite lucky with my parents where, there were strict diets that we were told to follow. My parents didn't really care. They would just feed me, give me whatever I wanted. And so I think because of that, I have always had quite a healthy relationship with food. But I know a lot of the other girls have developed eating disorders later on, and just very healthy body image and ways of thinking about their body image and food. So it's tough, but I fully believe all of my mental illnesses have stemmed from that program, because our brains were still forming at the age of 8. Your brain is still forming. It's still developing key ways of thinking and perceptions and views of the world and yourself and the world, and the others around you. And I was being fed so much of that information every day that my brain just evolved into thinking those key beliefs to be true. And that's the way we need to function as humans. And obviously, as well, has formed ways of coping with being under such stress and vulnerability at such a young age. And so later on in life, all of those key messages were ingrained into my brain that that's the way of thinking. And whether you're in the gymnastics hall or not, whatever you do in life, that's how you act and that's how you behave. So my whole recovery journey has been a complete journey of unlearning and relearning healthy ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be flogging cunts if my daughters went through that shit.
Yeah, could imagine.
I wouldn't. But it's all good and well for me to say that, but your parents probably got told that you were doing amazing and, this and that. They probably got told what they wanted to hear, but on the other end, it was completely opposite.
I think it was like complete manipulation, honestly. Like, they obviously weren't being told that I was doing amazing, because we'd have parent interviews. I don't know however often we were, and, they'd be like, oh, she's not really performing. And, like, they would get upset at me. My parents would get upset at me
Right.
because I wasn't performing.
Yeah.
Or, I would be sick. I definitely threw a couple of sickies here and there because, sometimes it's just like, I don't want to go to training today.
Yeah.
But, my parents would be disappointed in me if I got sick. And I would almost be scared to go to training the next day if I did have a day off sick, thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be punished for being sick. Like, what? people get sick all the time. It's a natural thing. Why was I scared to be sick and to have a day off?
Yeah.
How did you, because obviously you said you're one of 3.
Mm-hmm.
How did you only end up in this program over your other?
I'm just the best sister.
Crazy. They heard that. They heard that.
No, I think, well, I started gymnastics when I was really young, and I started because my older sister was doing gymnastics, and that was kind of the reason I was put in the program. And I guess I did kind of just have a natural talent for it. So I've always been like really strong in my upper body, and I just had this natural ability to just pick things up. And so my mum was kind of just like, oh, let's put you in a trial in this program. Or I don't know if it was suggested to my mum or not. But yeah, mum just like, oh, you're going to go try at this place. And I was like, okay. And so they put me in a trial, and they were like, yeah, she's cool. We'll have her.
She's cool.
And yeah, that was the end of that really.
Yeah, right. So that's how.
But yeah, my sister, I guess, just never picked up skills the way that I did. She did gymnastics.
She's trash talking.
She did gymnastics for a long time as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's just how it panned out, I guess.
Yeah.
And my younger sister, she tried every sport in the book. And she just was like, she's like that sister that's really clumsy. And if anything was gonna happen, it was like gonna happen to her.
Yeah.
You know, she was like running into trampolines and splitting her chin open when she was like 4 or 5. You know, but yeah, she's found her thing now. She's really good at cricket. But yeah, she's tried every sport in the book, from karate, swimming, gymnastics. What else has she done? I don't know, football. Yeah. But yeah, she's really good at cricket now. We both play cricket now. But yeah, she's a little bit better than me, I think.
Does that hurt to admit?
Yeah. So.
Sounds like you, JP.
Whoa. Calm down, right?
I don't think there's anything, unless there's anything that you want to
disclose,
chuck out there, how amazing you are doing right now.
Yeah, I'm doing great now.
Doing great.
I guess if you are on your recovery journey, to be patient, not give up. I know there's moments of hopelessness, and I definitely felt those, and there are days where you feel like that black tunnel is never going to open up and you're never going to see the light, but use me as living proof that it can happen, it does happen, and it is just a journey, and you will get there and you will find your answer. And I promise it might be a lot closer than you realize it is. Just hold on one more day, take each day as it comes, and keep trying those new things, because you will get there and you will find your answer.
You're amazing. Ask your famous last question, sir.
Right, so we ask everyone the same question at the end. What are 5 things you do to improve your mood? Can be any 5 things, like from whatever.
My mood, okay. Exercise. I love exercise. I move my body every day, and I find it just helps me a lot. I guess a lot, yeah. Get out in the sun. I get really bad winter or seasonal depression when there's no sun. I find it really affects me, and when I am feeling low, sometimes I'll just go lie in the sun. And obviously the sun's great for serotonin production. What else do? I do a lot of mindfulness, which I do mindful colouring or paint my numbers.
Paint your numbers. That's what I was trying to think what that is.
Yep, paint my numbers. That's one of my go-tos, where I feel like just an activity where I get really engrossed in the moment, and it helps me reset and recenter myself. 3. I will honestly just tell my partner that I'm feeling a bit crap, and that just lets him know that he needs to be a little bit more compassionate and gentle with me, and maybe I just need a little hug or something. And the 5th thing that comes to mind, there are plenty of other things that I'm sure I do, but this is something that I've really had to learn, is to accept my emotions and accept that it's okay to be feeling the way that I am, and that it is normal, and to not be harsh on myself for feeling that way. I used to get really angry at myself for feeling down and for having rough patches, and I used to, get really self-critical and be like, you're so stupid, why do you feel this way? Like, you're not good enough, you shouldn't be feeling the way that you are. And I've really had to learn that it is a normal part of the human experience. And once you learn to accept and acknowledge your feelings and be like, okay, I'm feeling a bit down, like that's okay. I'm allowed to feel this way, and just sit with it and then let it pass, because every emotion that you ever feel will pass. You're not going to feel the same way forever. So once you learn to acknowledge it and not suppress it and just be able to sit with it and then move on, it can be a lot more beneficial than trying to force yourself out of the emotion. So yeah, I guess those are like my top 5 things that I would do.
Beautiful. I'd say sun and exercise are some fairly common ones we hear.
Yeah, they're my favourite. Going on a walk in the sun with somebody else, that's the key. That's all 4 happy hormones released at once.
You should do that.
I try. It's difficult. Right?
Maybe it's not your answer. That's okay.
You're just always busy. You got children.
Me?
Wife.
Find someone else, bro. I spend too much time with you already.
They all moved to Perth.
Oh.
They all left.
Well, send us out, mate. We're done. Thank you, everyone.
I don't know which one I'm pointing at.
All of them.
I'm just pointing at the one in front of me.
Well, okay, that works well. I have like 2 on me, kind of. I'm in the centre. Oh, look at that.
The man behind the camera.
We're going to call you Expensive Tim. All right. Well, thank you, Lily, for coming on and sharing. Oh, first, for those of everyone that's watched, where can they find you or your community? And just a quick shout out for yourself.
They can find me at How to Be Well on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, wherever. I'm How to Be Well everywhere. And online, the community is How to Be Well Community. You can find that from my Instagram link in bio, though. Everything's on my link tree. So everything that I offer is through there. I also sell merch. So if you want to buy some merch, part proceeds donated to Lifeline with every order. And they're actually really good t-shirts. So I vouch for them.
Beautiful. I love it. All right. Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
A wonderful experience. And thank you for being here, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. And hope you guys enjoyed it. And see you later. Peace. Woo!